Good day, everyone. We're now at the start of today's webinar titled NSF ATE Program Funding Opportunities and Mentor Connect Orientation, brought to you by the South Carolina ATE Center and the Mentor Connect Project in collaboration with the American Association of Community Colleges with support from the National Science Foundation. I'm your host, Mike Lasecki. Today's interface that you see on the screen is Adobe Connect. Many of you know how it works. It's pretty simple. You have opportunities to put in questions on that upper right panel in the question window, and we'll have a number of breaks as we go through this webinar, and we'll be able to respond to your questions as time allows. I'm going to advance to the next slide. It's my pleasure today to welcome our great series of presenters and collaborators. I'm going to start with Elaine Kraft, Principal Investigator at the South Carolina ATE Center. Welcome, Elaine. Will you please come on and introduce your fellow presenters?
Thanks, Mike. Yes, and that's me pictured on the top left. I serve as Principal Investigator for the Mentor Connect Project, an initiative of the South Carolina ATE Center at Florence Darlington Technical College, Florence, South Carolina. Joining me for today's webinar are my three co-principal investigators for the Mentor Connect Project. Pictured to my right is Ellen Haas. Ellen works for the American Association of Community Colleges in Washington, D.C., as Mike mentioned, a partner in the Mentor Connect project. To Ellen's right is Dennis Faber. For a number of years, Dennis served as principal investigator of a successful regional ATE center based at the Community College of Baltimore County in Maryland. Dennis is now retired for CCBC, but as you can see, is remaining very active in the ATE program. To the right of Dennis is project manager and co-principal investigator Charlotte Forrest. Charlotte is based at Florence Darlington Technical College, South Carolina. Also pictured on the second row are other key personnel working on the Mentor Connect project. On the left, Dr. Osa Brand, senior personnel and mentor. In the middle is David Hatta, external evaluator for the project. You can see a camera around Dave's neck. He is also an excellent photographer. And on the right is Tanisha Ferguson, Communication and Technology Specialist. Now, it's a special treat for me to introduce Dr. Celeste Carter, who will kick off our program today. Dr. Carter is a program officer at the National Science Foundation. She serves as the lead for the ATE program within the Division of Undergraduate Education. One of the many things about Dr. Carter that make her special is that she's one of us. She is a biologist who came to the National Science Foundation from a community college in California where, as an ATE grantee herself, she initiated an outstanding biotechnology program. She's joining us today to orient you to the National Science Foundation and the Advanced Technological Education Program, referred to more simply as NSF and ATE. Before turning the program over to Dr. Carter, let's take a quick look at the agenda for today's webinar. The agenda is made up of two parts. Dr. Carter will start by giving you an overview of the National Science Foundation and specifically the ATE funding program offered by NSF. She will also introduce a special funding opportunity called Small Grants for Institutions New to ATE. Charlotte, Dennis, Ellen, and I will follow with specifics about Mentor Connect and how you can apply for special help with preparing and submitting a grant proposal to the ATE program. You will be provided with all the dates, deadlines, and contact information needed to take advantage of this opportunity. If you qualify as new to ATE, Mentor Connect Technical Assistance and Mentoring is available to help you prepare a competitive proposal for submission in October 2017. Note, this is not help to prepare for the upcoming October 2016 NSF ATE proposal deadline, but rather for the October 2017 deadline next year. We believe that preparing a really good grant proposal is something like having a baby. It takes about 9 months to get it right. So we want to give you plenty of head start and lots of time to do a great job. Even those who are not new to ATE, or if you have plans to submit a proposal to ATE this October, You will find that MentorConnect has information that can help you develop a stronger, correctly prepared proposal. Now, we have a question for you. Please type your response in the chat box. We are interested in knowing the number of you who are participating today in pairs or groups. That's great. I see now friend Laura Pennington's got 5 people with her. That's terrific. And some of you are watching solo. That's perfectly okay too. Thank you so much for giving us that particular information. Now, I'd like to turn the program over to Dr. Carter so that we can learn more about NSF.
Dr. Carter, don't forget to unmute. There you go. Thank you.
Okay, I unmuted, so hopefully everybody can hear me.
It's good.
Thank you very much, Elaine and Mike, for the introduction, and it's a real pleasure to be speaking with everyone today. And this is my welcome to the National Science Foundation. This first slide just shows you our current home, which is in Arlington, Virginia on the left, and on the right, the new building is actually up. I can drive by it. But it's pretty much empty. There's huge stacks of sheetrock on floors and lots of wires and things, but we'll be moving in just about a year to Alexandria, Virginia. So that's our new home, and hopefully all of you guys will be awardees and you will come and visit us at the Alexandria, Virginia site after you get your proposal submitted in 2017 and are a grantee. My email is down here on this slide, and please feel free to contact me at any time. I know if you are a MentorConnect mentee, you will get lots of help, but just so that you know that program officers at NSF are also always willing to speak with people. So if I can go to the next slide. This just shows you what. If we can go back one just real quickly. This is not to completely confuse you as far as what NSF looks like, but if you look down at the bottom where there's the rows going down or columns going down, NSF looks a little bit like an academic institution. There's a math and physical sciences, computer science, biology directorate, geology and geosciences directorate, and on that third column, the kind of darker purple one, is education and human resources. So that's a directorate. There are 4 divisions underneath that larger box, and one of them is the Division of Undergraduate Education, which is where the ATE program is housed. So this is just to give you an idea of what NSF looks like. It is one of the smallest of the federal agencies. Interestingly enough, the director of NSF, Dr. France Cordoba, reports directly to the President of the United States. So it's a small agency, and we're pretty directly connected to the White House. So if I can have the next slide.
Dr. Carter, excuse me, but you can advance yourself on the lower left. You see the arrows there?
Oh, yeah. Okay, so we'll do that then. Okay, so this just gives you a brief screenshot of what the nsf.gov website looks like. You see the one red arrow showing research areas, and you can find any of the directorates there. And again, there's a search box up at the upper right-hand corner, and you can search for the Advanced Technological Education Program, or you could look for the Division of Undergraduate Education, and then the program would come up. One other thing I'd like to point out on this particular slide is that dark blue ribbon, the third tab over, says Awards. You can go into that awards database at any time, search active awards or even archived awards. There we go, there's a green arrow, okay. And it's a great way to find out what's been done in any particular area or program at any time. And just as we like our students to be aware when they're doing a research paper of what's been published in any given area, it's a great idea to check out the awards database and find out what's been funded in your particular area before and while you are writing your proposal. Okay, so I'm going to try that. All right, there we go. If you put in Education and Human Resources, this is the EHR Home Page, and the red arrow on the left is pointing to the Division of Undergraduate Education. And that will take you to a page that gives you each of the programs that are funded or that are run within the Division of Undergraduate Education. Okay, I don't think we have that next one. So you went to DUE and you clicked on Advanced Technological Education Program. It will take you to a page that describes the program and also gives you a link to the solicitation itself. So all of the instructions that you need that are specific to ATE. There's one other thing that you will become familiar with that is also available on the NSF site called the Grant Proposal Guide. So there's instructions for crafting a proposal in that as well. But the solicitation, if it contradicts the grant proposal guide, you follow the ATE solicitation. So this program is a program that's been around since 1992 or 94 was when it really was started. And it's really about the education of a highly qualified entry-level workforce for any of the advanced technology fields that drive the economy of the United States. So this is a program that Congress mandated the National Science Foundation to develop. They looked at it and said entry-level technicians are something that you don't often need a four-year degree. So they put community and technical colleges or any two-year degree granting institution in a leadership role on all projects. They also thought about it and said, well, you know, if you're truly going to be educating students and getting them out the door and into the workforce, maybe pathways are something that should be supported. So the program can support grades 7 through 12, two-year and four-year institutions. And then the final part that's really, I think, one of the real critical elements of this program is that you need to think about this in terms of partnering with your industry and in a lot of cases economic development agencies or workforce investment boards. So you're thinking about what's around you. You know, if you are in an area and you are 1,000 miles away from the any sort of, let's say, automotive plant, are your students going to move if you start an automotive program? You want to know what's around you and partner with your local industry and think about the economic development of your own area. So that's really what ATE is all about. As a program within the National Science Foundation, this shows you all the way starting in 1994 up through fiscal year. This year was 66 million, so FY16 was 66 million. It's been flat. The program's been flat funded, which is not great news, but the really good news is we weren't cut. There's been a lot of programs that have been cut or reduced in the amount of funding they receive. So ATE is still pretty well funded as far as the National Science Foundation goes. Looking at the number of awards per state well, it's actually now, I think we're in year 24 this year. So it's closer to about 1,800 awards. This just shows you that pretty much every state in the Union, territories, we've got a great spread of awardees over the course of the history of this program, and hopefully you guys are all going to help continue to contribute to the diversity of states represented and institutions represented. There are 3 tracks in this program. Projects have a couple of different areas. A regular or general project can be $300,000 per year for up to 3 years, and it can cover any number of different areas. It could be that you're developing a new program. Maybe I don't know, maybe Toyota just built a plant a few miles from your community college, and you think you ought to have a program to support the workforce for Toyota. It could be that you have an existing program, but you know that you need to upgrade and work with your industry to have it more relevant for the industry that's around you. Faculty may need professional development. You may just need to develop new courses or educational materials. Teacher preparation is something that can be supported under ATE. So you want to look at the solicitation carefully. There's a lot of areas within ATE where your project may fit. I put in red what Elaine said I would talk about, which is small grants for institutions new to the ATE program. This is for any institution that has not had an award from ATE within the past 10 years. You could have been a subawardee on another project. You could have been a subawardee on a center. You could be within a community college district which has received funds, but your college has not received those funds. So for all those reasons, if it's within the past 10 years, you qualify to come in with a small grant for an institution that's new to the ATE program. The maximum budget is $200,000 for 2 to 3 years, depending on the project that you are proposing. And this is an effort that was started within this program because so many of the smaller community and technical colleges would say, hey, you know, that's a really interesting program, but how are we going to compete with the Miami-Dades or the Maricopas, or, you know, name any huge community college district that you know of. So this was a way to say, okay, so come in, build your expertise, build your infrastructure, and hopefully when you've completed one of these, you're going to say, hey, I am competitive, I'm going to keep going, this is something that's really worthwhile. Another aspect of projects is something that's relatively new, and that's called a coordination network. This would be something that once you've built your infrastructure and you feel fairly confident about what you're doing, you would be proposing to network with other similar either projects or centers or maybe even other professional associations or other industries. So that's kind of down the line, but something for you to think about. The second track is centers, and we do support 3 types of centers: national, regional, and support centers. And then finally we have a project or track on targeted research on technician education, and that has varying types of funding. That's really to say, what are we learning about these technician education programs? You know, what are best practices? What are the important things? I know I had a communication from someone who said, what about studying contextualized math? You know, that seems to be something that's really used in the ATE program. So those types of things are what are covered in the targeted research track. So we're up to a poll. What do you think the overall funding rate is for proposals submitted to the NSF ATE program? It looks like we've got a bunch of pretty smart people on this webinar today. So it looks as though the major choice was the 23 or 22 to 34%. That's pretty close to an overall funding rate, really even across the National Science Foundation. I think a couple of years ago it was a little bit, it was around 20%. Kind of varies from year to year, but that's a fairly good response. What's interesting is, what is the funding rate for those small new to ATE proposals? Because every single one of you who come in increase the institutional diversity of this program. So if we, and I don't think I'm stealing Elaine's thunder and telling you, this past year, the success rate or the funding rate for small new to ATE proposals would have fit under A. So 75 to 80%. I think I can pretty safely say that might be the highest rate of funding of success within the federal government for first-time people coming in with a proposal. And I think with that poll, and this last slide, the funding rate will vary, and again, it's going to depend on the work you put into developing your proposal. Remember also that it's not either me as a program officer or any other program officer who works on ATE that decides which ones will go forward for funding or as a recommendation of funding. We are informed by the merit review process, where reviewers, a panel of your peers, comes in and initially reads your proposal and provides a rating on it. Then we look at that and as program officers and move from there. So I think with that, there's a little bit of advice from program officers that's important. The first one is, and I often say to people as kind of a joke, it would be nice if I could have subliminal messages sort of flashing into your subconscious. The very first one would be read the solicitation. So a lot of times we'll get questions from people and it's, gee, you know, if you went to page whatever in the solicitation, you would actually find the exact answer to your question. So read it carefully. I know you will also be told to read the grant proposal guide because that has more instructions. The other one is choose the right program track. Make sure that your project fits. Elaine has already said start early. And finally, get help and avoid errors. There's some really easy ones. I know one of the ones I'm already getting questions on for next month is people want to know about, they started looking at Fastlane versus grants.gov, and they've said, well, you know, I'm looking at the National Science Foundation submission requirements, and it says I need a data management plan and a project data form. Are those the same thing? And I don't see them anywhere on grants.gov. Well, they're not the same thing, and grants.gov doesn't actually support those. So if you are absolutely wedded to using grants.gov, you want to start really early because there will be forms that you will be told you don't have. Program officers can answer your questions. If you are connected and are accepted into Mentor Connect, you're going to have a huge pool of people that can advise you. And you can also look up, use that awards database, find other projects that are similar to yours and or link up with the centers in the same area that you are, and connect with some of the people that are already within the ATE community. I feel pretty safe in saying we're a very friendly community, and I don't think you will find anybody that will turn you away and say, hey, I can't answer that, I'm too busy, or I'm not interested. Be alert for changes. This particular solicitation deadline of this coming October 6th of 2016, is the last one on this current solicitation. So we are actually working on a revised solicitation, which we hope will be published early next year and will be the solicitation that you would be responding to for a 2017 submission. So, another piece of advice, and this actually comes from one of the people who developed the ATE program in 1992. This was Dr. Gerhard Salinger, who said, you know, if you can really respond to these questions, you're going to craft a good proposal. The first one is, what is your problem, or what is the need that caused you to even sit down and even think about asking for or writing a proposal? The second one is, how are you actually going to respond to that need? What specifically will you do to address that need? The third one is, do you have the right set of people that have the expertise to carry out that work? Fourth, how will you know if you're successful? That's really what evaluation and assessment is about. And because this is all of our taxpayer money that supports all of the awards within the ATE program and everything else at the National Science Foundation, how are you going to tell others about your outcomes and your results? So how are you going to disseminate the results of your project so that others don't try and reinvent the wheel if you have already done a great job of inventing it in the first place? So I think that if you keep those 5 things in mind, and a lot of people will say, well, that's really logical, and I'll go, well, yeah, I think crafting a proposal should be that way. So that's some other important advice for you. This is actually just a screenshot of the page for the ATE program. The red arrow points to the solicitation, the link where you can download it, the current one for this particular year, but you'll see a new one for the next year, this is 14-577. So if you click on that link, it will take you to a page that says, well, do you want this open in a PDF, an HTML, or text? And you will get the full ATE solicitation. So I think we're back for another poll, and I believe at this point I turn it back to Elaine.
Thanks. We're very interested in knowing how you... Ooh, I'm getting an echo.
You're okay now, Elaine.
Are we okay now? Thanks. So how would you describe yourself as a potential grantee? We'd like to know. Are you new and inexperienced? As we were putting this together, somebody said maybe we could just put clueless there. Okay, great. Looks like we've got some people with grant experience, but maybe not so much with NSF. Great, thank you. Appreciate that, Mike. Now I think there may be some questions for Dr. Carter. Why don't we see if there are some from the chat box that she could respond to at this point in time before we move into the Mentor Connect portion.
There are some questions, Elaine. Let me forward this to Dr. Carter. This is somewhat tongue-in-cheek, Dr. Carter, but with that high a success rate for the new grants, maybe we could just write you and ask you to send us the check. Maybe that would be easier.
You know, my family asks me that all the time. They're like, well, you know, this is a program that's got $66 million. Can't we just write you something and you send us a check?
Right. Well,
right?
I'm sorry.
That would be nice.
I couldn't resist asking that one. But here's a serious one in a sense. You mentioned that the program targets technician education, of course, but what if I'm targeting certificates at the technician level? Is that okay? Do I have to make sure I've got that 2-year degree? What's your sense of that today?
So my sense of that is talk to your industry. Remember, it's the industry education partnerships that are really going to drive this program and have driven it forward. So what does your industry say they want? I think that's really a key question to ask them. There's quite a good portfolio within the ATE awards of people using certificates, building on a certificate. One of the things that takes me back to that pathways term. A lot of times you can have a student who will come in, earn a certificate, maybe get a job, and then I know I used to find in my program a few years down the line they'd come back and they'd say, hey, Dr. Carter, what's the next step? I've kind of hit a ceiling. I can't advance anymore in this company. I want to keep going. I'm still curious. Where do I go next? So maybe it's the associate's degree at that point, and or it could be another set of certificates. Following that, I mean, sometimes that's where the 4 years come in. You get students coming back again, and your next point is going to be, well, maybe you want to think about going to a 4-year. And I know that at that point, quite a few of the industries I was in biotechnology, I had a biotechnology program in California. A lot of the industry would support their current workforce to go back and earn a more advanced degree, be that a bachelor's degree or in many cases even onto a master's degree. So talk to your industry, work with them.
The second question is regarding the solicitation existing and the new one. I think one of the advantages of the ATE program is that it's eligible, or rather able, to produce a solicitation that stretches out in time, and that really helps us on the proposal development side. For the new one coming out, will it be a 3-year solicitation as well?
I believe it will be. I haven't been told I can't do it, so I'm going to go forward with a 3-year solicitation.
That's extraordinarily helpful in planning for it because we have some time to try to anticipate it. So good, that's excellent. A third question. This one might sound funny, but I get it. The person says, I'm actually pretty intimidated about contacting an NSF program officer. Will they talk to me? And I think, as you said, this is a community, and people have had great success, in my experience, in talking with program officers. What's your response there? will they respond? Should you shoot them an email? Should you try calling them? What's the best approach to actually talk to a program officer?
I think you can try either email or phone. I know I often pick up my phone and there's dead silence on the end for a minute, and then people will say, "Oh, I didn't think you were actually going to answer."
Oh my God. Yeah.
I think as long as we're in our offices, we really do try and answer. And we are pretty approachable. We're pretty much all faculty members at one point or another, just like everybody who's on the webinar or working at an institution. And it's part of our job to be as supportive as we can. If you want to email us, that's great. Sometimes if you've got questions, people will say, well, gee, I'd like to call you on the phone and talk to you about it. I will say that one of the things that helps a lot for us here at NSF is if you can give us like a one-page synopsis of your project ideas, so that we aren't starting from ground zero in a phone conversation. We can say, hey, well, you said your focus was engineering technology or biotech or nanotech, and that gives us some time to think about it before the phone conversation, so we can say, hey, we got a couple of people we think you should network with that might really help you as you craft this proposal or go forward with your project. So don't be too intimidated. We're here. We really will speak with you.
I have to admit, it certainly does sound like that, and I know, of course, from my own experience that works extremely well. So thank you, and thank you for all the support that you give community colleges and our collaborators as we try to craft these proposals. There's a number of detailed questions that are coming into the chat window, and I noticed that some of our Mentor Connect colleagues are responding to them in the chat, so I'm not going to take a lot of time there. But one thing that is important, and people always want to know this, is there some way that I could see examples of what a good funded proposal is? Is that available, or do they turn to Mentor Connect for something like that?
Well, I think, first of all, I do think Mentor Connect has some examples, and I believe they're up on the Mentor Connect site. But the other thing that you can do, you can always, if you've gone through that awards database, and one of the things that will pull up, let's say you wanted to look at something in advanced manufacturing, it'll give you a whole list of current awards. When you click on any one of those awards, it actually gives you the abstract of the award, and it gives you the contact information for the principal investigator, the person who's running that. You can always send an email to or even call a PI and say, I'm working in a similar area, and first of all, I'd like to introduce myself, but second of all, I'm wondering, would you be willing to share your proposal with me? That's probably the fastest way to get it. You can also approach the National Science Foundation under the Freedom of Information Act, and I just heard this week they're trying to streamline the way that works. Currently, it's way too slow to help you. It can take up to 6 months before, under the FOIA Act, you actually are going to see the proposal. So look to Mentor Connect, talk to PIs, and email them and ask them if they would share their proposal with you. Those are probably the best ways to do it.
That's a good idea. Celeste, there's a lot of information coming up on this webinar from our other presenters, and I think we're going to move forward in terms of time, and I know your schedule presses yourself, but thank you very much for joining us today and also for being so forthcoming and receptive to our own questions.
All right, well, thanks to all of you, Mentor Connect, and everybody on the webinar, and I will look forward to seeing your proposals.
Thank you again. Let's go ahead into the presentation and turn it over to the next slide. Elaine, are you coming on at this point?
Can you hear me, Mike?
Yes, now we can. Thank you, Elaine.
Thank you. Sorry. Let's explore this question, why Mentor Connect? You might say, why has the National Science Foundation ATE program funded this project? One reason is that too few technical and community colleges have benefited from NSF funding. Although you saw a map with dots in every state and awards in every state, when the Mentor Connect project was initially funded in 2012, only about 1/3 of community colleges in the country had received one or more NSF grant awards. That left 2/3, or about 800 two-year colleges, without. Changing these statistics is one of MentorConnect's goals. As you have no doubt discovered, it is very challenging to win a grant award. Requirements are constantly changing and competition is stiff. In the past, there have been very few places to turn for help, and preliminary proposals are no longer an option for ATE. Community college faculty typically have little, if any, experience in generating grant proposals. Not every community college even has a grant writer or a grant writer who is familiar with NSF funding and proposal procedures. So, while the nation desperately needs highly skilled technicians that community colleges prepare, it is very challenging to secure grant funding to initiate, grow, or improve technician education programs. Again, that's where MentorConnect comes in. What we know is that mentoring is an effective way to stimulate knowledge transfer, share best practices, and improve outcomes, especially in the ATE program that has created a community that shares willingly with one another. With more than 200 funded ATE projects each year, an incredible amount is being learned about what works and what doesn't in technician education. MentorConnect guides technician educators through the grant proposal process and helps prospective grantees leverage ATE program resources, know-how, and networks. What really makes this work, of course, are the experienced principal investigators, some of whom are former NSF program officers, who are willing to assist first-time applicants as they seek an ATE grant. Technical assistance and instruction from MentorConnect is coupled with the opportunity to be mentored by someone who has personally been down the path many times before. In a few minutes, we will share with you some statistics so that you can see how the MentorConnect system can improve your chances for success. The MentorConnect support system is made up of 3 parts that are delivered both face-to-face and online. We help educators develop good projects and competitive proposals for the ATE program. We select mentors and prepare them to assist both potential and funded principal investigators. And we work with funded PIs, which is short for principal investigators, to develop leadership skills and to improve project outcomes. In addition, MentorConnect strives to increase the geographic diversity of colleges winning grant awards and the demographic diversity of faculty who serve as principal investigators for those awards. We offer several levels and types of support designed to increase the likelihood that the proposal you submit will be competitive and of high quality. Whether or not you are selected for a MentorConnect cohort, we have specialized help for you and your college. In short, MentorConnect is a win-win, no-lose proposition. If you aren't selected for a MentorConnect cohort, we provide other types of one-on-one help. If you submit a proposal to ATE that doesn't get funded, we will help you recover, strengthen your proposal, and try again. After you receive your first award, we provide startup help and leadership development opportunities for faculty. All levels of support are designed to bring more two-year colleges into the ATE program, to diversify the NSF ATE program, both geographically and demographically, and to grow a new generation of STEM faculty leaders to advance technician education. A key ingredient in MentorConnect's success are the mentors who work with potential grantees. MentorConnect mentors are selected from among those who have been most successful in the ATE program and who have the right skill sets and desire to give back by helping others. In addition to the one-on-one support provided by the project, those preparing proposals have access to a very robust searchable library of resources, as well as an extensive list of frequently asked questions. In summary, MentorConnect helps you compete for funding to support projects that are aligned with the goals of the ATE program. And being an ATE grantee will enhance your development as a STEM leader in technician education. The highlights on this slide emphasize ATE's very specific focus on technician education. MentorConnect can help you benefit from and someday give back to the ATE community. Now, Charlotte will provide more in-depth information about this mentorship opportunity.
Thank you, Elaine. At this time, we're going to whittle down a bit into the details, and I'd like to talk a bit about the types of assistance that the MentorConnect project is now providing to community college faculty throughout the U.S. We offer support in all of these ways, and today we're going to be focusing primarily on our mentoring piece because we want you all that are on the webinar to take advantage of the mentorship opportunity. The MentorConnect project's mentorship is the central part of the project's success. As an applicant, you are applying to be mentored as a team to leading to NSF ATE grant submission and faculty development. So with that, I want to talk a little bit about the cohort structure should you apply and be selected to the MentorConnect project. We select 20 colleges each year, and that is this coming October, the deadline, which we'll talk about later. That's what you will be applying for. Each team is comprised of 2 faculty members plus up to 2 self-paid grant writers or administrators who serve to support the faculty with this grant submission process. Faculty lead the teams and will be potential principal investigators, co-principal investigators, or leaders for the grant once it's hopefully funded by the NSF. From February through October 2017 this year, teams, which means mentors and mentees, are expected to work together to develop skills leading to grant submission next year, October 2017. The Winter Workshop, held in February, is a catalyst for the mentoring cycle, and grant submission is expected at the end of the formal cohort work. Many times, the mentoring relationships develop, continue, and span much further than the 9 to 10 month period of this mentorship. However, mentors are not obligated to provide assistance as project management begins. However, your MentorConnect team is here to support in any way that we can. Throughout the process of the 10 months, colleges are benchmarked and tracked for progress to make sure that you are doing everything that you can do to be successful, and that we're doing everything we can do to make sure that you're successful. So the 2 in-person workshops, which we'll talk a bit more detail later, are designed to provide mentor-mentee work time, technical assistance for grant proposals, and faculty development. These are a requirement for your participation in this cohort-driven mentorship. All faculty are expected to attend both the winter and summer workshops, and in our experience, these face-to-face meetings truly curb unexpected hurdles that can, down the line, hamper grant success. But again, we'll talk a little more detail later. In addition to the summer workshop, there is a requirement for all cohort participants to attend the High Impact Technology Exchange Conference, which we like to call HITEC, that is held in July. HITEC is a national professional development conference on advanced technological education where educators, industry, and technicians come together to upgrade knowledge and skills. By the end of the cohort cycle, all colleges are expected to and prepared to submit an NSF ATE proposal in October or the date determined by the new ATE program solicitation. This mentorship is structured, again, to align with the ATE program solicitation. So You'll hear us sounding like a bit of a broken record, but we highly, highly recommend that one of the first things that you do as you consider this opportunity is to review that program solicitation. These are just a couple photos of our past cohort participants, and as you can see from the photos, this truly is a team effort, and we're always so proud of our mentees. So let's now roll into talking a little bit about cohort benefits. You know, why should I take advantage of, or my college take advantage of, what's being offered by Mentor Connect? Should your college be accepted into the mentorship, you will be taking advantage of unique resources that potentially help you gain grant funding, new relationships throughout the U.S., and plenty of professional development and leadership skills. Some of the resources include, again, the formal intensive workshops that we provide, being able to participate in those, work with an experienced ATE mentor. These are folks who are running projects, centers, and have been around throughout the history of the ATE program. Access to all technical assistance offered by the project, the high-tech experience, which is to me a bonus, and access to the Mentor Connect team for just-in-time help as needed. So we talked about the workshops, and now we'll whittle down into those. Let's start with the financial benefit and financial support. Knowing that Mentor Connect will support you financially to attend required events is super helpful. We offer up to $1,200 per faculty member. That's for one college, that's up to $2,400 per team. For travel expenses to both our winter event and our summer event. We also support the registration cost, which is valued right around $500 to attend the required high-tech national conference. Mentor Connect is not a grant that is provided to colleges. However, we like to think of ourselves as more of a college culture-changing mentorship opportunity. So with that being said, there is no cost for participating. However, there is, again, travel support for events that we require. And in this instance, we require you to attend 2 face-to-face events. So should your college be selected, details will be forthcoming about those upcoming events and how to get this travel support. So we've started talking about the mentorship, but now we want to cross over a bit and talk about workshops that you as cohort participants would be required to attend. It is important to note that the workshops offered are only for cohort participants at this particular time. Each of you received an electronic handout that highlights some of the things that workshop participants can expect over the course of the winter workshop. So we won't spend a lot of time today talking content, but we'll follow up on those things at a later time. I'd like to give you an additional snapshot about what each has to offer, however. The winter workshop, which will be in New Orleans this year, although you are there to have a lot of fun, there is quite a bit of information that we would want you to absorb during this event. You will work with your newly assigned mentor as a team, learn strategies to help you with concepts and grant proposal writing tips, experience what a mock panel review as if you're at NSF as a peer reviewer, and the immeasurable leadership and professional development opportunity. You can't beat being in a room full of your peers from across the country who talking about program ideas that you all have in common, right? The summer workshop, and here are the dates, will be held in Salt Lake City, Utah this year, or 2017 rather. This workshop is a bit different because college teams and mentees at that point are about halfway through the mentorship process and their grant writing process. So this particular face-to-face gives teams an opportunity to have allocated work time with their mentors, We provide more timely technical assistance for proposals at that juncture, and there's time spent networking with and hearing about past cohort participant experiences, which serves to be valuable. So back to the mentoring. During this portion of the webinar, you've heard some information about the mentoring structure, well as the workshops that are offered to cohort participants. We'll now whittle a little bit further into the mentorship itself, continuing with eligibility on how to be involved. So Dennis, if you will, take it away from here.
Charlotte, thanks. We're going to refresh everybody's memory about some of the things that need to occur in order to make you eligible for Mentor Connect. You heard Celeste mention the 10-year window about no AT grant funding in the past 10 years. And she also mentioned the little exception about multi-campus situations where one campus may have very well gotten funding in the last 10 years, but other campuses are certainly eligible to apply. We're looking for the involvement of STEM faculty and those who prepare technicians for the advanced technological workforce needed by our country. And we also encourage one team application per eligible college. It eliminates the competition and the disappointment that might occur in terms of getting into Mentor Connect. And more importantly, when you submit proposals for the same grant category from the NSF, it creates some competition that may not be helpful to the award process for you guys. So who is encouraged? In working with the ATE program, there are some areas that we've tried to help focus some involvement from. Those involve rural colleges, and we're looking for a diverse group of STEM faculty, those that are underrepresented, and that may be female, Hispanic or Latino, African American, or Alaskan Native or Native American faculty members. So another poll. We'd like to see who's actually listening in today. If you will answer the poll question about your current role at the institution, that would be helpful for us to understand a little bit about who you are and who's participating.
Dennis, I think everyone's had a chance to reply. We've got a real mix, grant writers, administrators, faculty.
Yeah, we certainly do. And it's good to see the grant writers so actively involved as well as the administrators. That kind of leads into the next part of the presentation.
You know what,
Thanks,
Dennis?
Mike, if you end the poll.
I will. If we might ask, there are a couple of people that checked none of the above, and if they don't mind typing that into the chat window, that would be interesting. But I'll go ahead and close the poll now. Thanks.
Thank you. So as you heard earlier, we're really encouraging the active involvement of 2 faculty members, and that's required for participation in Mentor Connect. Make a couple of points about that. One is that faculty members are not required to have a doctoral degree. We do emphasize NSF's preference for full-time faculty. Adjuncts or continuing ed faculty are sometimes part of the equation at many schools, but we urge caution about involving those folks in a significant manner in your application and your proposal, actually. I think the other thing in leading into the discussion of the role of the grant writers and administrators is the importance of faculty time for this very new experience. that time needs to be readily available. We know that faculty members have oftentimes very busy and very full teaching schedules, and that sometimes interferes with and gets in the way of the time needed to submit a very good proposal. So I think one of the roles that we think about when we think about the involvement of grant writers and the administrators is supporting faculty in a variety of ways, including that time that's necessary. We encourage the teamwork aspect of this group. We have found over the past 4 cohorts that has worked wonderfully, wonderfully well. We expect the grant writers or the administrators to attend the winter workshop in February in New Orleans. You'll have to invest some college funds and provide your own travel support to cover the registration fees and travel, but I think you'll find that those costs are well worth it. We do offer very specific tracks for both grant writers and administrators, and offer some information and some observation that may be more targeted to those two groups of people than necessarily targeted to faculty. I think the other thing that I would say is that there is a lot of benefit from that mentoring process during the workshop and thereafter. That level of teamwork that's developed, the back and forth with your mentor and your team members, begins that process of building a strong support system at your college if that's not already there. And the final thing is that you get access to all the Mentor Connect resources that continue to grow and to be very, very valuable resources. So we think it's worth it for you to attend those sessions, and we like the teamwork aspect of what that participation produces. So with that, I'd like to turn it back to Charlotte to talk a little bit about the previous successes of the cohorts to date.
Thanks, Dennis. So before we move on to more nuts and bolts information, I'd like to share with you just some fun information about why you might apply and what your chances might be in this program. So just walking through here, I want to show you our cohorts at work. So this is just a photograph, some photographs of our cohorts. This is Cohort 1, who the workshop that they first attended in winter of 2013 was in Portland, Oregon. And out of that group, we ended up having 10 of those colleges be successful and are running some truly innovative projects. This is Cohort 2. In 2014, this group of 20 met in Atlanta, Georgia, diverse group. And again, this cohort became even more successful with, we had 12 of those colleges become new grantees and awardees. And a lot of those folks who may not have been funded are coming back into the fold and resubmitting proposals to the ATE program. This is Cohort 3, and this is actually the latest group to find out about their award success through the NSF ATE program. And they had a workshop in 2015 in St. Petersburg, Florida. And this has been the most successful cohort to date, having 14 colleges be funded through the small new to ATE category at NSF. And then, of course, we're currently in Cohort 4, prepping for Cohort 5. And Cohort 4 also met in New Orleans, Louisiana, where Cohort 5 will be meeting in January or February of this year. And this particular group will be submitting their proposals in October 2016, just about a month away, less than that really. So they're working hard and putting in the work that they need to submit a competitive proposal. So with that little fun recap, all of the individual cohort success amounts to a shared community of success. It's not about, one cohort. We look at Mentor Connect as truly as a community of people who are working to enhance America's workforce. So just a couple of pieces of data about the outreach that Mentor Connect has done. We have had 4 cohorts to date participate. That's 79 colleges, 81 college teams. These teams represent 27 states. There have been 162 faculty who have been involved over the course of the 4 cohorts, and 86 self-paid optional administrators who've bought into the projects and believe in what the faculty are doing as leaders in many cases for their colleges. And then there have been 25 mentors who have served the Mentor Connect project, but we do want to keep in mind that we select a cohort of 10 mentors each year to work with our 20 colleges. So mentors work with 10 mentors work with 20 colleges, so they have 2 teams essentially. This next slide, we just want to look at the numbers for both the NSF ATE grant submissions as well as the Mentor Connect application submission success. The first 2 bullets that you see here are percentages that are related to the success of mentees, or what we always call cohort colleges, that have finished the mentorship and submitted a grant to the National Science Foundation Advanced Technological Education Program. The second 2 bullets are data from applicants submitting to the Mentor Connect project initiative. These are colleges that are wanting to take advantage of the mentoring opportunity through this program that we've discussed today. So I'll start at the top here. As far as NSF ATE proposal submissions, overall and for each cohort, 18 out of the 20 colleges selected have submitted their proposal at the end of the mentorship, and that yields to 90%. NSF awards, and these are, again, mentees from our program who have submitted their proposal to the NSF ATE program. 37 out of the 54 who have submitted proposals have been funded. That's around 69% success rate overall. And if you look at colleges who, did everything that we asked and they submitted a small new to ATE grant, the success rate is a bit higher at 76%. So those are, again, those 2 bullet points are directly related to the end game, which is submitting a program proposal to the ATE small grants category. The next 2 bullets, 64% of Mentor Connect applicants have been accepted into one of our cohorts. Today, there have been 127 applicants overall, and so this 64% represents those the 81 college teams that have been accepted. 100% of colleges who say, timing's not right, or they have to reapply for Mentor Connect, they are selected the second time that they apply. And we've had 9 colleges that fit in that category to date. So you'll hear a bit later that, if timing's not right, or if you apply but you're not sure if your concept is where you want it to be, there's always another opportunity to be successful. And we really want to emphasize that. There's always an opportunity with this particular program. So with that, I think we'd like to address some questions that you might have.
Charlotte, it's Mike. We do have a couple of questions, and I want to remind attendees that the way that you can ask questions is by submitting them in the chat window that many of you have been doing. Thanks. Question, let me ask this one first to you, Charlotte. If a organization submits a proposal in 2016, can they still apply for Mentor Connect support in the 2017 round? Or does that preclude it?
Yeah, our advice is generally no. You know, if you're planning, and just to clarify, if you're planning to submit a proposal this October 2016, we do not readily you know, want you to apply to Mentor Connect because you're not considered to be new to ATE should you receive a grant award notice in spring of 2017.
Okay.
And when a college does that, and it's happened to us kind of accidentally, is if a college is funded, it more or less forces that college to submit a project grant should they submit the following October after the mentorship has been completed.
Okay.
So the general answer is no.
I'm just going to use this time, in the interest of time, to ask one more question. I'm going to ask Dennis to come back on audio for a moment. Dennis, as you saw in your poll, quite a few grants, developer, grant writer folks are on the line with us. Would you mind, again, I know you've answered this in the chat window too, but can you distinguish the support that's available to the faculty participants versus that's available to the grant writers? If you don't mind, just clarify that and then we'll move forward.
Yeah, given the grant dollars that we have available, we've provided stipends to support the faculty members that are attending. For the administrators and grant writers, who originally, just a little bit of history, originally we weren't involving them in the process until folks said, we want to be involved. We didn't have the grant dollars to support that. So we made that an optional at the cost to the institution participation. So I think the slide earlier, showed a registration fee of about $400 and then whatever the travel cost is for the workshop in both New Orleans and in Utah.
Okay. Well, cool. Thanks for coming back on. And as you say, we certainly encourage the developers and the writers because they're clearly part of the success of doing successful grants. Friends, let's
That's
move
true,
forward.
Mike. If I could interrupt just a minute, I will say that our data show that those teams who do have grant writer and administrators who come to the workshops and support the teams are ultimately more successful with the proposals that they submit.
I can see through my clairvoyance a lot of the grant writers smiling on the screen here, Elaine, so thank you for that comment. Let's go ahead and talk about the application process next.
Thank you, Mike. So at this time, I'd like to go over how to apply for the Mentor Connect opportunity. You've heard Celeste Carter say this, you've heard all of this say this, and you'll hear it early and often, but we do advise you read the ATE Program Solicitation. The expectation of this mentoring opportunity is at the end of it, you'll submit a grant proposal to NSF for the ATE program. So you'll need to be very familiar with the ATE Program Solicitation before applying to Mentor Connect. To assist you with that, we've developed a self-assessment that is accessible from the Mentor Connect website, and that's designed to gauge your knowledge of the requirements associated with preparing an NSF ATE proposal. So once you've read the program solicitation and completed your self-assessment, you're ready to assemble a team to apply. There's a two-step process for applying, and you'll need to complete an application, which can be submitted online or downloaded as a PDF and emailed to Mentor Connect. And as a second part, you'll need to complete a separate College Senior Administrator affidavit. So for the main application, you'll need to assemble general college contact information, faculty contact information, and also a 150-word personal statement for each faculty member that details why the faculty member wishes to participate in this activity and how he or she feels it would benefit their professional and leadership development. You'll also need to provide a college statement, short 300 words or less, that describes the business or industry cluster or technical field that your team will target and the challenges in technician education you wish to address in your ATE proposal. And you'll also include contact information for additional team members, such as a grant writer and administrator, though participation is optional, as you've heard Dennis say and others have also relayed. We do strongly encourage you to assemble a full team to take advantage of the Mentor Connect opportunity. The second part of the application is to download and obtain a signed affidavit, which should be from a senior college administrator who has the authority to approve faculty participation and reimbursement of travel expenses for the 2 Mentor Connect Technical Assistance workshops, one in February and the other in July, and someone who can also approve the submission of a grant proposal to NSF in October 2017. And the complete Mentor Connect application package is due October 13th. I'd like to also go over the selection process. So from this application process, we select 20 colleges for the Mentor Connect project, with notifications going out on November 4th. If your college is not accepted, as Charlotte mentioned, we still offer technical assistance, and that the college will have an opportunity for a one-on-one consultation with a Mentor Connect principal staff member to assist them in improving or sharpening their concept, and as well as they would be eligible to take advantage of Mentor Connect's technical assistance webinars and online library and resources. So we offer webinars targeted specifically to developing a successful NSF proposal, and again, several online resources, including sample proposals that are all open to you, and we encourage you to take advantage of them. So what we'll be checking for in terms of selection criteria, obviously we want a complete application that will include a signed affidavit in PDF format. We'll be checking that the college is eligible for Mentor Connect, that the college is new to NSF grant funding or has not received a grant in the past 10 years. And what we are essentially looking for are good ideas with a clear technician education focus. So you have 300 words to provide a college statement of interest. So this is not a place for a lot of boilerplate. You'll want to talk succinctly about your college in relation to the areas of technician education and the needs of business and industry you wish to address. So we ask you spend some time considering your concept and how it would fit into the overall ATE program solicitation when crafting this section of your Mentor Connect application. Another aspect that is considered during the selection process are the faculty statements of interest. We consider whether the statements reflect a high level of interest on the part of the faculty member, and if the statement reflects how the faculty member perceives this opportunity would benefit them professionally. One of the objectives of Mentor Connect is to develop STEM leaders. So we are seeking aspiring leaders that want this opportunity for their students and to serve the needs of business and industry in their communities. We also consider the geographic diversity of the institution and particularly encourage institutions serving rural or underserved populations to apply. And we consider the demographic diversity of the faculty teams and the student populations that they serve. So initial expectations. You'll be notified again on November 4th on whether or not you're accepted into the Mentor Connect cohort, and we ask that you read the acceptance or decline letter thoroughly, as a decline letter will include information for seeking one-on-one consultation and how to access resources, and the acceptance letter will include detailed information on registering and preparing for the February Technical Assistance Workshop in New Orleans. For those accepted, we'll also send you information on who will be mentoring you and a mentor contact list in early December. We suggest you contact your mentor early to introduce yourself and have some initial conversation prior to the February workshop. And of course, we encourage you to ask questions. I'd also like to give you some expectation on your mentor's role in this project. So for colleges accepted into the Mentor Connect cohort, a mentor will be assigned to assist you on site at the February and the July workshops, and also offer approximately 36 hours of customized mentoring support from the period following the February workshop until October 2017, when you're expected to submit your ATE proposal. And each team can work with their mentor individually to determine the best course of action for communication following the February workshop. And Mentor Connect also provides recommended timelines and checkpoints to assist you and your mentor in making the best use of your time together. And while mentors can't write the grant for you, they can be of tremendous assistance in strengthening your proposal topic, helping you refine ideas and strategies, and addressing NSF and ATE requirements. and perhaps most significantly by serving as a conduit to other ATE resources and to people. There's a lot of work and resources in the ATE community, which is over 20 years strong, and your mentor is highly connected and can really assist you in helping to form relationships and learn about what is out there that you can implement and adapt at your institution rather than reinventing the wheel. And this is a picture of the fine and illustrious team that would help you do that. These are our 2016 mentors. And at this point, we've got a little bit more to tell you and also another question break coming up to address some questions. But at this point, we wanted to get a sense of how many of you plan to apply for Mentor Connect for this year. Oh, wonderful. Thank you. I see the majority look like they are ready to apply. We have some that think this may not be the right time and others that are not sure. So thank you for answering this poll. And now I'd actually like to turn it over to Dennis to talk a little to those in the no's and the maybe category, a little bit about timing. Dennis?
Thanks, Helen. So for those of you 35 or 40% that were saying, well, maybe now is not the right time. It is one of the things that you need to consider as you consider the commitment that you're going to make to getting a proposal in place over the next period of about a year or so if you apply to Mentor Connect. If this is not the best time to get involved in submitting an ATE small grants proposal, keep us in mind for the next cohort. That'll occur pretty much at the same time next year. You can use the time this year, to address any obstacles that may interfere with your active participation this coming year. And if you're not sure, if you have some things that are going on at your college that you'd like to talk about, Mentor Connect staff would be happy to have that conversation with you. I want to talk a little bit more about the resources and just-in-time help that's available. So in addition to the workshop and dedicated time with your mentor, we offer additional assistance and guidance during your proposal preparation adventure. These services are also available to the entire ATE community. And they include a very extensive online self-help resource library that continues to be expanded to help answer the wide variety of questions and respond to the equally wide variety of information needed to develop and implement your project. The Mentor Connect website is the place to find these things. We have also compiled an extensive searchable FAQ resource that can address most questions you may have. And there's a glossary of terms for those of you who are not familiar with ATE speak yet that will give you some idea of some of the things you may have heard mentioned here today but need further definition. In addition to that, let me go back a section. In addition to that, the technical assistance webinars in the spring of 2016 will help you to complete the myriad of forms that must accompany your proposal, develop an effective evaluation for your project, given the limited dollar awards for the small grants funding category. That area, by the way, is one of increasing importance with NSF. And there's also a webinar in building the budget and budget justification that makes your grant make sense to the reviewers. So if there are questions that these resources don't answer, the folks at Mentor Connect and the qualified, experienced ATE community members that we network with are certainly available to answer your questions, usually in about a 2-day turnaround. We also mentioned a little earlier this idea of leadership development. And while it's not critical for you all at this point, it is something that is one of the rationales for this program. In order to keep this program creative and innovative and vital to the community colleges and the ATE program itself, we need to think about how do we bring new leaders into the fold. You notice some of the pictures have some folks that are probably growing more mature, like some of us who've retired already. This new generation of faculty leaders needs some thoughtful development about how best to move that along. And that's one of the areas that we're focused on and we'll be doing some work with. We've already started that work, as a matter of fact. And in the future, we'll be inviting folks like you, should you get funded, to be a part of that activity. So just a quick review. And again, this information is going to be readily available to you all, but the application process, the applications are available. That has to be completed by the 13th of October. You can find those on the website. The deadline, again, is identified. We'll notify you by November the 4th via email about selection. We'll have a period of time from the notification till around the time that schools break for the Christmas break to get yourself registered, yourself and your team registered for the technical assistance workshop. Charlotte will do a wonderful job of sending you instructions on how best to do that. The winter workshop is in New Orleans. We had a ball last year and got a lot of good work done as well. That's February 1st to the 3rd. And then the summer workshop is July 16th to 20th in Salt Lake City. Part of that workshop will also include your participation in the conference, which is a good way to learn more about the ATE community that you're about ready to join. And then the webinars. We've got some dates scheduled for those things already. The evaluation one is still being developed. And we will make you and everybody else that's interested in the Mentor Connect program aware of those opportunities. So I think I'll turn it over to Elaine at this point to address any questions and make some final comments before we close.
Thanks, Dennis. Mike, do you have more questions for us from the chat box at this time?
Yes, we do, and our timing is really good today, Elaine. We're perfectly on time. We do have a couple of questions. The first one is for Dennis, wondering if he could move the February workshop to a little bit later to coincide with Mardi Gras. I'm not sure that's possible. That's
we really beat on Charlotte to do that this year, but I think the hotel availability got in the way.
Okay, just teasing. But here's a question for both of you. I'll ask Elaine to respond first and then Dennis, because both of you have a lot of experience in this. And this is coming from the grant writers. They know that they see the whole advantage of this, but it's not so easy to get their faculty members, you know how faculty are. Some of them just want to do it, and others, they don't always see the value. Elaine, do you have an advice for a grant writer to how to engage their faculty members in this process, how to hook them? What would you say? What have you seen that works?
Well, I think one of the important things is to help them understand how unique NSF and the NSF ATE program is in the way it looks at the faculty member. For a proposal to be competitive, it really needs to bubble up from the faculty. The faculty, yes, if they're not heavily involved in writing that proposal, in terms of the content, the strategies, what needs to be accomplished, how to best work with their students and with their industries, it shows, and those proposals are not as competitive. So that faculty voice is really essential, and once they get the award, another thing that I think is important to stress is that the principal investigator of an NSF grant is the person in charge. The spending decisions, the budget, everything about that project is entrusted to the principal investigator from the National Science Foundation's perspective. In fact, this is emphasized in the fact that when you get your grant award, from that point forward, the only person that they communicate with is the principal investigator, which is going to be a faculty member. And that's very different from a lot of other federal grants. So I think the fact that that they're good, if this is something they can own, this is something that can really be theirs and that they can be much more involved in than they can in any other grant that I'm aware of. Could help in selling faculty members on this prospect of getting some money to do what they want to do and know is best for their program and their students.
That's an excellent response, Elaine. I know sometimes the faculty members we've had the opportunity to work with, they worry about the actual writing of the grant. That can be intimidating, but I think when the development office gets involved, it can really help out that equation.
Well, I think that's where the partnership comes in. You know, you're not asking them to be the writers. You're asking them to be the heart and the soul and the ideas. You know, you give me your ideas, and then the grants people have got the skills to wordsmith it, if you will, and to make it read right and sound right and look pretty, you know, and of course to do all that packaging that goes with it. When you submit a proposal, there's a lot of mechanics involved that the grant writers are very familiar with, and the faculty don't need to be concerned with that if they've got somebody here to help them. So I think, you know, that partnership is really important, and that's why we stress teamwork so much in the whole process of MentorConnect.
Right. Dennis?
Mike, I'd add a point or two to that. I think one of the things that we've seen from some of the faculty who have been more successful is they begin to understand that this is the first step in what could be a very long funding cycle with the ATE program. They see a vision for their program that may not be able to be accomplished by just the small grant, but by the small grant, then followed by a project level grant and perhaps another project level grant, and so on. So I think the faculty folks who have that longer term perspective as opposed to, you know, what's this going to do for me immediately, tend to be the kinds of folks that thrive in the ATE program and begin to understand the real value of investing the time and energy upfront in the small grant process as an entree to a much more extensive possibility of funding for supporting their programs and their students.
Dennis, that was an excellent point, and I really want to thank you and Elaine and, of course, Ellen and Charlotte today. But those last 2 points of how to make this a team effort, how to engage your faculty, and how to think about this beyond this single grant opportunity, just a great way of wrapping up this. Let me kick ourselves forward one step in the presentation and remind you of the various ways to connect with MentorConnect. You can see their social media feeds here as well as the website. And by the way, there is a handout associated with this webinar that has lots of resources on it to respond to a number of chat comments. Yes, this webinar recording and slides and handout links will be sent to you, and it typically takes us about 24 hours to turn that around. It takes a little post-processing of the webinar feed itself. So thank you. I'm going to officially take us to the end of the webinar. Hold on just a second now, because I'm going to go to the survey slide. We really ask you for your help. I'm going to launch the survey slide while we do our wrap-up. You'll still be able to hear us talking. So right on the screen right now, depends a little bit on your system, but either the survey link will open or you will have a box that has a URL in it, and then you'll click on it and it says Browse To. That'll open the survey in a second window, and you can always jump back into the webinar window itself. So let's go ahead and wrap up today. Elaine, I'd like to give you the last words. There's been a huge amount of success in this MentorConnect opportunity, and you've given people a chance to look at this with a good amount of time in front of them. Any last words to encourage people to join or apply for the program?
Well, one thing I'd like to point out, Mike, is that we are happy to talk to you about your application for MentorConnect, just as the NSF program officers are happy to talk to you about your concept for a grant proposal. If you're filling out the application and you're not really sure whether you're on target with your statement for your college, or whether you're faculty or understand the instructions for what they're supposed to submit, we encourage you to call and talk to us about it. We're very user-friendly, and we'd love to hear from you. Our goal is your success, and we look forward to helping as many of you as possible this year or in the subsequent years. MentorConnect's funded for several years, so we're very excited about the opportunity this represents. And thank you very much, MATEC and Mike and the great team that helps us produce these webinars, and of course, huge thanks to the National Science Foundation who makes all of this possible.
Well, thank you, Elaine. I like that closing comment. Our goal is your success, and I know that you believe that deeply, and that's important. So friends and colleagues, this officially ends the webinar today. I'll leave the survey link up. Presenters, please just don't submit the survey. That might close it accidentally for others. So thank you for doing that. And final closing remarks, thank you very much to Ellen, Elaine, Dennis, and Charlotte for all of the work that you've done in the preparation of this activity. Mentor Connect forever, everyone. Well, maybe at least for a couple more years anyhow. So thanks very much. This concludes our webinar for today. Goodbye.